What's going on, everybody? It's the Indoor Hunter, and today we're going to be talking about the potentially game-changing DLC coming to the Hunter Call of the Wild on October 10th. That is, of course, the Ambusher DLC. Now, I'll admit, at first, I was not initially impressed. Whenever I saw it, I was like, okay, that's interesting, but it doesn't really scratch my itch, until I started thinking about it. This could really change the way we play the game by a lot of factors. But before we get too in depth of how this may actually impact us as we hunt, let's talk about what's actually in the pack. We're going to be getting an electronic collar, a new lever action rifle, and a new recurve bow, which is always nice to see. They need more bows in my opinion in the game. I love bow hunting. It's a lot of fun. I don't do it enough, but it's going to be pretty fun to pull that out there and see what it can do. What's really interesting is the new rifle. It's going to be sharing a cartridge with the 44 Magnum and has potential actually to be one of, if not the best guns in the game. It's capable of taking species class 3 all the way up to class 8. This of course hinges on its ability at range. I don't know if it's going to have the same characteristics as the handgun cartridge, or at least in the handgun. With it being in a rifle, obviously it's going to have realistically better velocity, better accuracy, thus better range. I'm not sure if it's going to share that with the handgun. If it does, it may not be as effective as I'm hoping. But if it's a little beefed up, has a better velocity, has longer range, we could be seeing a game-changing weapon come into play here, because having a weapon that is able to take class 3 all the way up to 8, that could be a contender for replacing the 7mm as the be-all, end-all when it comes to rifles, because the 44 Magnum in-game is incredibly powerful, has insane penetration, insane damage. I'm really curious to get my hands on this weapon when it releases, because this could be the new deer rifle, the new pretty much everything rifle, really squaring away what you need to carry with you as far as weapons go. I'm really hoping that they do have a increased range with that, even though it is a pistol cartridge. This could be the new go-to fun whitetail deer grind gun. I don't know yet. I'm excited for it. We're just gonna have to see though, because I haven't seen it yet in stream. As far as I know, there's nobody else that's out there using it, so I don't think we're gonna really know much about it until they do a live stream, or we're just gonna have to get our hands on it. At the time of this recording, it's still about 2 weeks out, so hopefully that gun lives up to the hype, because again, the versatility of having a weapon capable of taking class 3 all the way up to class 8 is going to be huge. Now let's talk about this color. Again, initially when I saw it, I thought to myself, that's cool, but what's the point? We've already got colors in the game. Don't need to use it, especially don't need to spend real money on it, because again, what's the point? Until you start reading the description of it. Gain advantage by remotely calling animals to a location. This clever device comes prepared with sounds for every callable animal species and can be monitored from long distances via the accompanying remote. So this caller is going to be able to call in every single callable species in the game, eliminating all the need for having all the callers except for this guy. But that's not what makes it interesting. It's cool, but the fact that it talks about being monitored from long distances via remote, that's the interesting part to me. Now, they haven't specified what this long distance means, but in theory, if you're able to extend your calling range, especially if you're able to have multiple callers, again, they could institute a thing to where you only have one deployed at a time, but if you have multiple deployed, this could really be the game-changing moment that really changes how we play the game. As an example, let's say you're hunting whitetail, you're grinding for your very first great one, it's going great, but there's a few spots that just aren't the best. Their need zones aren't where you want them to be. It's kind of hard to see them. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. It's hard to get them out in the open and successfully harvest multiple deer. Well, now you might actually be able to place this collar in a location that you're able to see much better from a remote location and simply call them to you, in a weird way making your own need zone. Now obviously, if you've got any experience calling animals in the Hunter Call of the Wild, things can get weird, wonky, and sometimes they don't like to behave, or depending on how much hunting pressure, it may not work, but it'd be a lot better than having to set up and getting really sneaky within 200 meters of an animal. This could really extend all the call ranges from 200 meters to maybe even 500 meters plus. Animals that we may not actually see rendered in may come to this call. Again, have no idea how it's going to work. I'm really curious to see it in action. But this could really make grinding a little bit easier, especially for those maps that just aren't the best for grinding, or if you're wanting to really scale down what you have in your inventory. With it being able to call in every single animal, that's obviously going to be huge, because you're not going to have to carry a bunch of different colors on you. But I am curious about the sense of it being monitored from long distances via the remote. I'm kind of curious if there's going to be a camera on this. Otherwise, it doesn't make that much sense. While having the ability to call animals into a specific shooting lane would be nice, it does make more sense if you're able to set the camera up in an area that you can't see, calling animals to that location. Then you know for a fact that those animals are there. Again, this is all, I have no idea, this isn't concrete, but it's kind of weird way they worded that. We're going to have to see it on an upcoming stream to see if that's actually the case. But I really feel like this is going to change how we play the game, because again, right now, and granted there's some different perks and stuff, but for the most part, with the exception of the duck colors, of course, the range of your color is only 200 meters. So if you've got deer across the lake that are 300 meters out plus that you want to get closer, this may be the answer to that. I definitely like the direction this is taking the game. This is bringing a much more modern equipment into the hunting realm of the Hunter Call of the Wild. And I really hope in the future this means we see things like trail cameras. Initially some may question the viability of something like that, but for me, I'd love the ability to have eyes on a need zone and see whether or not those animals are there. Again, this is more for grinding purposes, but it's really frustrating going through all your zones, going to a zone that they're just not there yet. Having that ability to remotely monitor that would be huge. Again, I don't know if they would ever add anything like that to the game, but with the fact that they're adding an electronic color, who knows what we're going to see in the future. Now, I still would really like to see them add many more optics, or even the ability to change your crosshairs or stuff like that. We've been using the same rifle scopes in the game since day one, and I'd really like to see something different, even if it's as simple as being able to customize our reticules. But that's all I've got for now. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts and opinions on the upcoming Ambusher pack and what you'd like to see come to the Hunter Call of the Wild.